All right, Patty. So we're here in Buffalo, New York. Is this where you're originally from?
I'm from near here.
Near here? Where were you born?
I was born in Ohio, but my childhood was in Angola, New York.
How did you end up out here?
A lot of bad decisions and unfortunate events.
Tell me about your childhood. What was that like?
My childhood wasn't too bad. It could have been better. My mother is a drug addict. She didn't have very good luck with her decisions either, which led to me, my brother and sister being given to family, which also led to a lot of drama and more bad things happening. I went with my aunt and my uncle. They did their best with me, but a lot of damage was already done. So they did what they could, and until I got to be a teenager, and then it wasn't in their hands anymore. I saw a lot of drug use. I was used very early on sexually to help my mother get high, which led to me being more sexual and open like that. There was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of drama, and there was just a lot of chaos in my life. A lot of times, we'd be broken, the family would get into fights, and just basically that kind of stuff. I was shown a lot of things, that I shouldn't have been shown when I was that young.
Are you in touch with your mom or your dad?
My dad is dead. My mother, not really. She's very hard to handle, and I just can't handle her sometimes, so I just don't really talk to her. I really don't talk to any of my family. I'm really kind of on my own now.
And what was your experience like when you were living with your aunt and uncle?
They did their best. We were kind of like a regular family, I suppose. My dad worked, my uncle worked, and my aunt was a homemaker until I got to be a little older. But we were always broke, so it led to a lot of fighting, a lot of chaos. My older cousin had a lot of friends, and there were a lot of drug use, a lot of partying. My aunt tried her best to make our house a home. We were always moving. We never stayed in one place for very long. So everywhere we went, though, she made it a home, though. I lived in Gowanda, New York, Silver Creek, New York, Brockton, New York, Angola, New York, Derby, New York. And then when I was 15, we moved to Florida. And we lived in Lake County, Florida, where we also moved a couple times. And then after that, I was an adult and started my own life. No, I didn't really have a lot of friends and get good grades at all. I wasn't really disrespectful, though, but I never barely ever went to school. And when I did go to school, I was usually high. I didn't have a lot of friends. We moved around so much, and I didn't really have cool clothes or nothing. So I didn't really have friends until I learned how to be friends with the ones you're not supposed to be friends with.
You got high for the first time pretty young?
Yes.
What was that first experience like, and how old were you?
I really don't really remember. I was probably like 10 or 11.
Wow, that's really young.
Yeah. A lot of times I would have to help with my brother and sister. And a lot of times I was in pain from whatever was happening to me, the abuse and stuff. So my mom, she started giving me like pills and stuff. And, I was allowed to smoke weed very young. I was allowed to start snorting cocaine very young. I don't really remember the age though, but it was under 15 for all of it.
Were you addicted to anything at that time, or it was more just...
Addiction really doesn't come into play until you actually have to have a functional life. You really don't see the addiction until I think you get older, and there's things that you have to do, there's responsibilities that you have, Because when you're a kid, even if you start needing it every day, you don't really see that. You just see it as that you're having fun every day.
Did you finish high school?
No, but I did go back and get my GED when I was 23. I was pregnant with my daughter. Well, we were in Florida, and I was already in the work program, so I was already allowed to leave at like 12:30 anyway. And I was working at McDonald's, so I just started working full time at McDonald's. I had a boyfriend who ended up being my husband, who was way older than me. So he had a car. I didn't want to be in school, yeah. I mean, I just stopped going to school, and then that's when I ended up pregnant at 17, and I just kept working.
Are you in touch with them, with your kids?
Yes and no. My oldest son I do talk to. He's a little upset right now because I haven't talked to him since I've been out here again. And my youngest two are adopted by a family, and no, I only get to see or talk to them like once a year. We had an apartment actually, and it was actually a pretty nice apartment. I basically paid for the whole thing. My ex-husband was kind of like really not immature, but he was irresponsible, and that's how our whole relationship was. I worked my ass off while he didn't really do anything, and I'm not really sure how to say everything right for the camera, but I mean, I thought he was cool when I first got with him, and it didn't end up being that way. So I ended up pregnant, and then I ended up getting married to him when I was 9 months pregnant. And then we had a rough life, always moving, always broke, always fighting. And then I had my daughter about 5 years later, 4 or 5 years later. That's when we were living in Connecticut, because we had tried to come up to New York, lived in New York for a little while, and I ended up pregnant with her. We ended up going to Connecticut with my family, and then I had her, and then a year and a half later I had my other son.
Are you together with him now?
No. I haven't been with him in 10 years.
In 10 years?
Over 10 years.
Were you using drugs throughout all of that?
On and off. I always usually smoked weed, but like the hard drugs, not really. I'd get a problem for like a month or two, and then I'd stop, like with like coke or crack. I smoked spice, like K2, for a little while, but not really when I was with him. No. Well, he was very physically abusive, and we just fought for a long time, and then finally I just told him I didn't want to be with him anymore. He left, went up to Lake County with his mom, and I was alone with the 3 kids by myself. I tried working. I worked 2 jobs. Was trying to hang on as hard as I could, and then I started doing like Molly and stuff to stay up, to have more energy, to feel better, and then with the Molly I started smoking crack, and then it ended up, me and my next boyfriend, we ended up packing everything up in the car and driving up to New York to be with my sister. I stayed off the crack for about 6 months, and then I started smoking again, and that's when I started losing my kids. I had a nervous breakdown and was cutting my wrists and stuff. Called 911 and told them that I had to come get my kids for me. And from there, I just kind of flew away.
Where did you fly to?
To the streets. I don't want to say what streets. I don't want to say where I am, where I was, or where I am now. But I just kind of flew away to a place where the next hit takes the pain away.
And what's your drug of choice today?
Crack. I was doing heroin the last time, but I've been able to stay off of it this time. Once it grabs you, you're just like, next hit, next hit, next hit. You know? So this time, at least, people kind of know where I am. Like the first time, I was a complete missing person. But this time around, they know where I'm at. I'm still kind of missing, but they know where I am, you know?
When you say they, you mean like friends and family?
Yeah. And like even like the CEO of the company I work for was driving around looking for me. and told me once I go to rehab, I can have my job back as soon as I come back. So I guess I just put my life on hiatus right now. Last time it was more like I really went away. But this time it's kind of like Patty's just messing up right now, you know. So I was out on the streets for like 5 years.
In what state was that?
New York. And then I got arrested. I kept getting arrested, and then the last time that I had gotten arrested, I decided to go to rehab. From rehab, I did everything I was supposed to in supportive living. I was in human trafficking court. I did everything they said to do. I was going to my meetings. I got a job. I started college. So I went to college. I got my degree, and I was with a boyfriend who was like an NA sponsor, so I was able to stay out of trouble. But he was very physically abusive, so it was kind of pick your poison. So for 4 years I was doing the right thing and being the right person, and all it really takes is a couple of bad decisions. Bad decisions is just, you want to get high one night, so you go and get high. You say, okay, well, I only got high the other day, so I'll get high again. And then before you know it, you're getting high every day. And then, I have a job, but then the money's not fast enough, so what do? I go back outside and start picking up, people, and start hustling money, and, start prostituting, and because it's so easy. I mean, it doesn't seem easy, because it's really not easy. It's very hard, and I get hurt all the time, and it's a lot of loneliness, but it's still easy money, way more than what I work at a $24 an hour job. But it goes all to drugs, which I eat a lot though. I do eat a lot. Every time I get money, I eat, because I don't want to lose my weight again. Last time I got really thin. So, and then I pay for where I'm staying, or, I give a lot away too.
So what were some of the things you accomplished in those 4 years that you were clean?
Not much. I mean, like I said, my biggest thing that I accomplished was going to school and graduating from college. That was good. And just,
That's really good.
I graduated out of substance abuse. The substance abuse programs. I graduated out of human trafficking court. I helped a lot of people in recovery. I helped other people that were having problems.
Was that fulfilling to you, helping people like that?
Yeah. I know I'm not going to be out here forever, I just want to be out here now. And I still help people.
How do you help people?
It's going to sound really silly though. I help, I buy food for people, and as stupid as it sounds, if a lot of the girls, when they're outside, I'll give them hits, the girls that are passed out on those steps, I'll wake them up. If I see somebody who is sick, I'll buy them a dime of H and get them off sick. I try to be there to listen to people instead of just wanting something from somebody. I try to talk to them or hug them, or, the other night, the person who hurt my knees and raped me, I went up to him and I asked him if he wanted some free head. I said that if I gave it to him, as long as I did it, he wouldn't have to hurt somebody else to get it from them. I know this sounds really silly, but I really felt like that was helping, because then none of us had to be outside and worrying about him jumping out at us. So it's not the kind of help that you would think is help, but it's the kind of help that I consider help, because the one girl actually got stabbed by him. So they trash the church. They always, it's funny because they come into these houses and they want to clean, and as soon as they take a hit and try to get more free stuff, but then there's a church that everybody sits at that, they can just sit at and get high, or sit when they're tired and they trash it and not one person does anything to clean it. So like I'll go and clean up like the steps and stuff on the church. I know like the ladies that were cleaning the one day I started cleaning, I didn't want any money or nothing. They ended up making me take money, but I started helping them clean, you know. So I just try to do any little kind things that I can, and I don't steal. I try to just be one less person on the street making things harder. Yeah, I mean, I deserve what I give myself, and right now I'm not giving myself what I deserve, but I have a lot of self-worth. I just don't use it right now, you know. And self-worth goes different ways, you know. Before, my self-worth was I'm a good machinist, you know. I'm a good person, I'm a good friend. Now I'm good at bringing money into houses and I'm good at giving things away, and I'm just a good person though. My self-worth is what I make it, you know. I'm still worth something, I just choose not to use that worth. It's like money you choose not to spend, you know.
What are some of the things that you are running from or trying to numb with your drug use?
Really, I'm just out handling my addictions. It's not really that I'm running from anything this time. I was running from something last time. This time, I'm a nymphomaniac. I have a problem with wanting sex a lot. I want drugs. I want crack. Right now I'm just indulging. I'm not really running from anything this time.
And when you say this time, how long has it been?
About 2 months.
So your 4 years sober ended 2 months ago?
Yeah, but I wasn't 4 years sober. I was 4 years off the streets. My 4 years, I had a few relapses, but they were kind of more like one night stand relapses. I didn't stay out like I am now.
They say relapse is part of recovery.
For some people it is.
Are there any other defining moments in your life that you'd like to share? Like things that maybe you think about often, or things that you feel have changed you?
I know being in school really changed things because it showed me like what I was really capable of. I miss going to school, you know.